Hello everyone, and welcome to Castlevania Chronicles! Earlier this year I played through Symphony of the Night, which was my first Castlevania game for the channel, and although I'll definitely be playing more of those Metroidvania Castlevania games in the future, I wanted to get at least one original-like Castlevania game under my belt featuring Simon Belmont, so I decided to go for Castlevania Chronicles, which is a remake of the original Castlevania for the NES, one of the very many remakes that exist. So we have two modes here. We have original mode, which is a more faithful translation of the original NES Castlevania, right down to kind of the ornery, not very good controls in my opinion, and all those very old sensibilities going back to like the knockback and things like that, and things that I'm just not really a fan of. But we also have the arranged mode right here, which features the new sleek, sexy, redesigned Symphony of the Night inspired Simon Belmont here, but also has a lot more modern sensibilities, such as being able to control our jump mid-air, the knockback not being as big of an issue. In fact, there's really not much knockback at all. So I decided, you know what, if I'm going to play through the original Castlevania, this seems like the easiest and most modern version to do so. So let's go ahead and fire up arranged mode here. Not quite sure why they decided to have a completely separate start screen for this, but oh well, it's fine. Okay, so I have my practice file up there. I have not played too much of this game right here, to be honest. I did a little bit just to make sure I wasn't completely inept with the controls, but as for going all the way, I really haven't beaten the game quite yet, so this is going to be a kind of a blind playthrough when we get to a certain point here. So I think we're going to have enough spaces to put in my name here. Virgo, where's that G? Go, only one go? My name has two goes, but you know. Okay, just one's fine. That'll be fine. Let's go. Yep, that's definitely the new Simon. Nothing like the old Conan the Barbarian design ripoff. I'm gonna be quiet for the first few moments here. Boy, now that is a version of Vampire Killer right there. Holy crap. The music in this game is incredible. And although I love the soundtrack of Symphony of the Night, it was kind of more atmospheric in places, although it really did have some like headbanging tunes right there as well. But man, this game knows how to really rock out with the classic Castlevania songs. Of course, this song is Vampire Killer, which is, you know, the OG Castlevania song, right? Like, everyone knows Vampire Killer, and I think it sounds amazing right here. And I got the herb right there from one of the zombies right off the bat. That is awesome. The verb is like, the herb rather, not the verb, wow. The herb might be the best sub-weapon in this game here because it allows you to heal. In fact, I think it's something that is completely unique to Castlevania Chronicles. I don't think it's been in any other Castlevania game before this or after this, to be honest. So I'm going to try to hold on to that for as long as possible, yeah. Being able to heal in a Castlevania game is huge. But okay, yeah, this is a remake of the first Castlevania featuring the most well-known Belmont of them all, Simon Belmont. He may not be as powerful as Richter. You know, Julius was the one that eventually defeated Castlevania like 1,000 years after this game, but Simon is the most well-known. He's the OG, he's the classic, everyone knows who he is. And I was kind of shocked whenever Netflix did their anime-inspired Castlevania adaptation that they didn't go with Simon, they went with Trevor instead. But yep, Simon is definitely the most well-known. And he kind of, he looks like he belongs right at home with like the Symphony of the Night crowd now. I believe he was redesigned and this entire game was made by Koji Igarashi, who was the mastermind behind Symphony of the Night, so hey, he brought his own unique style to Castlevania, and I can't really complain that much. As for which style I like more, the Conan the Barbarian ripoff or the anime style, I don't really know. I'm not the biggest fan of anime, I'm not really an aficionado, but I also think like the Conan the Barbarian ripoff was kind of stupid as well, so I don't know. But okay, this is the first level. It's going to be nice and straightforward, as we're going to get right out of the castle proper, going more into these catacomb-like areas here with the mermen. At least I believe they're still called the mermen, you know, classic enemies and whatnot. So if you've played the original NES Castlevania, you've already noticed the similarities here that this game has with it. Although it's definitely not a one-to-one translation by any stretch of the imagination, it definitely has kind of like the same locales, except just realized for the PS1 hardware. And I think that's another reason why I gravitated to this version of somehow remaking Castlevania 1, because there have been a lot. But other remakes of Castlevania 1, well, probably the most notable one is Super Castlevania 4. But I don't know, I just really like how this game looks, because I'm such a big fan of Symphony of the Night. It stands to reason that I would really appreciate the game looking like it's directly inspired by Symphony of the Night, you know? It's okay, we got that right there. We're already out of the sewer, so onwards to the next one here. Oh yeah, I should probably go over the advantages that this version of the game has to its older counterparts here. The two main ones are what you've already seen. Instead of knocking us back like 5 feet backwards and straight into a bottomless pit that kills us instantly, because, you know, instant-death is such an awesome design mechanism, we just go straight forward, so the knockback is gone, thankfully. And another one is, I'll demonstrate here, you can actually kind of control your jump in midair right here. I think the biggest problem that I have with original Castlevania and classic Castlevania in general is just that freaking jump, man. You know, I can tolerate the knockback, like Symphony of the Night had the knockback, if I feel like I'm able to control and kind of bounce back from the knockback. Not so in classic Castlevania. It's a reason why I don't... You know, I'm not going to say the classic Castlevania is, like, inherently bad, and that, you know, everyone's wrong, and, you know, it's just a terribly designed game. Not going to argue that. Because I'm not going to pick up the classic axe right there, because, again, I have the freaking herb. And the herb allows you to heal for 10 hearts, so I'm not even going to worry about that. So I'm not going to argue that, but I'm just saying that, like, I don't know, the jump just really kills it for me. I feel like I'm just really not in control most of the time, and I think that's a pretty major issue there. But okay, before you know it, we're already here at the first boss. Alright, it's going to be the giant Batman right there. Now, that's Batman, alright. Alright, so this guy's really easy. All you have to do is stay back and hit him whenever he gets close. No bottomless pits in this one yet, so, you know, we're pretty good. Although I will say I'm not a fan of the stairs, but we will get to the stairs later. So this guy should be absolutely no problem. I think maybe 2 more hits and we can take him down. Or maybe 3, since we're doing like 2 bits of damage there. Yep, 1 more should do it. Come here. Oh, come on. Oh yeah, and I should mention that, like, we can jump, like, not jump, we can whip, like, downwards and sideways, like that. You can whip straight downward too, but you can't go upward and diagonal, which is really weird. Would have really helped out for that boss fight right there. So those are 3 big advantages that I think Castlevania Chronicles, specifically the Arrange mode, has over the original, for sure. Alright, section 2 here. Now we are definitely in, like, this catacombs-like area out of the castle proper here, which I believe was the, that was how it went in the original NES Castlevania as well. So I'm going to take great care to not get a different sub-weapon here, for fear that I will lose my herb. That was a close one. Alright, well, there's the axe, and normally I would like to pick up the axe, because, you know, it has that kind of parabolic arc that can really be useful for, especially that boss that we just went against. But again, the herb, man, it's just so good. For 10 hearts, you can restore, like, half your HP, or at least 1/4 of it, I think. That I'm going to try to hold on for this for the entire freaking game if I can. There is one guaranteed herb you can get later on, but I think that's the only guaranteed one. I'm actually very fortunate that I just picked this one up from a lowly zombie. Let's go ahead and get these guys out of the way. Those are really bizarre, because I don't think you see anything like that in the game again, at least not what I've played. You just kind of have to whip them until they go apart right there. Oh, the freaking bats. The airborne enemies in Castlevania are the freaking worst, man. There's nothing worse. So let's get out of here. So I wanted to do like an original, more classic Castlevania to increase my Castlevania cred, of course, but I also just wanted to show that, you know, although I wouldn't say I'm a hardcore fan of the series, you know, I am a fan in general. I really like Castlevania, and although I would say like I only really enjoy kind of the late 90s, early 2000s Metroidvania stuff, I still wanted to show that, you know, I can still hang with them with the platforming Castlevania, right? And I do find this game enjoyable. I'm not going to say, like, I'm the biggest fan of it or anything like that. But, still, just the aesthetic and the fact that it's much easier than both Super Castlevania 4 and the NES version just makes it that much more appealing to me. And interestingly enough, I don't think that this version of the game, Castlevania Chronicles, was ever released stateside until it was available on the PlayStation Network. I'm playing this on the PS3 right now. I think this was, like, exclusive to Japan for the longest time or something. Don't really quote me on that, though. And yeah, I definitely don't want to give him my herb for the stupid knife. No one likes the knife, man. I mean, like the holy water and the cross and the axe, at least those are like decent sub-weapons, depending on the circumstances that you're in, but the knife is just always the freaking worst. Like, I can't really think of a part or a circumstance in the game where I would want the freaking knife. I mean, it's really fast, but it does like next to no damage. And you really need damage output. It's very important in this game. Okay, so let's try to stay on the upper path right here. You actually can fall down to, like, the lower path here. But this little skull snake right here is hiding a secret, and I want it. I'm not too worried about taking damage right here because I do have the herb, which I will show off momentarily, as long as this guy keeps wrecking me right here. Man, why do these things have so much HP? There we go. Alright, so all you have to do is use it, and boom, there you go. Yeah, it looks like it does restore, like, half your HP. Alright, so we go over here and we have a friendly flute-playing merchant. Okay, so I think you have to whip the item in order to get which one you want, but if you whip the merchant, it'll give you a brand new selection right there. So I already have the herb, so I don't really need meat. But I don't want any extra sub-weapons either, so yeah, let's just go for like the heart, I guess? Have more ammo? Or it can just give me the freaking stopwatch. And don't get me wrong, like the stopwatch can be very useful, but again, I got the herb, man. It's by far the best sub-weapon. Why would I ever give it up? Let's get over here. And oh yeah, this is one of those classic Castlevania moments right here. Another thing I don't really like about classic Castlevania is that it's very trial and error heavy, and it's very instant-death heavy. Like, you have to duck under those stalactites or else you'll get thrown into the water, and that's game over. GG. And I just don't really appreciate that in a platformer, you know? Like, I gave Mega Man X some crap in sections like that too, but classic Castlevania just has way more trial and error, do-or-die insta-death, you know? And I get that, you know, like, platformers were kind of like that back then, but I don't know, just insta-death as a principle. I think if you're going to have insta-death in your game, like, it has to be forgiving in a certain way. Like, the player needs to be able to bounce back, be it by a generous checkpoint system or by having plentiful lives that'll allow you to just get used to it, right? I feel like Castlevania, even this version, just does not do that, but we'll get more to that later. As we have a... what would you call this? Like a magic raft? A magic raft ride? Something like that? Floating on top of this ever-expanding pool of water. I believe once again it is time for boss time! We had like a freakish bat for our first one, and this one is... oh, a Skeletor dragon. All you gotta do is whip the head, though, so... just do that repeatedly, not gonna be too worried. He does have one attack, yeah, that fire breath right there, but more threatening is that tail that'll try to tip the raft over and, throw you right into the water, which is game over, instant death again, but not too much of a problem. Go ahead and give me my glowy orb. What is that? Is that like a pool of the concentrated blood of the boss or something? I don't know. Well, there we go. So far, so good. But I'm getting a little nervous. The game is about to get a little bit harder.